And welcome to this week's Future Talk. I'm Liz Buchanan, I'm a digital communications expert, and I'm joined by Shara Evans, who is just an all-round expert, but really she's one of the world's top female futurists as designated by Forbes in early 2020. So welcome, Shara.
Hi Liz, hi everybody.
And we are talking everything during and after coronavirus, but what's the topic today?
Well, that's what I was just going to say is this week, let's talk about remote working because
Yes.
that's what's happening all over the place. And for people who are used to being in an office, it's a big change. For others, it's been a way of their life for a long time. But let's focus on those who have been in an office environment and are used to that social networking and camaraderie that goes along with being in an office. I mean, after all, isn't that part of the work experience?
Yeah, it's been quite scary for a lot of people that they miss that social interaction and that face-to-face connection, or just having coffee with someone when they need a break to get, that mental ability going.
Yeah, and the other thing is that when you're in an office, you're typically in a very well-equipped environment from a cybersecurity perspective. You've got professional IT people, you've got an ergonomically sound environment in most cases, not all the time, but most offices are ergonomically fitted out because of occupational safety rules and regulations. You also have, in many cases, big screens, not just a tiny laptop. And let's face it, the bigger your screen real estate, the more productive you are because the more stuff you can see and work on and have windows next to each other and so on. And here suddenly you've gone from working in an office to working from home and maybe even using your own computer or a tiny laptop. You don't have an IT support person. You're scrambling, perhaps, you and your company to set up virtual private networks to make your internal communications secure and to let your phone system, actually dial out to wherever the person is remotely located, but from a client perspective, letting it be seamless so that you don't actually know that the person isn't sitting in an office. But there are some real issues when it comes to working from home, with cybersecurity being one of them that's on the top of my list. It's always on my list, cybersecurity and privacy. Anyone who knows me will know that. But many people, especially if they're using their own home environment, don't have firewalls set up either on their computer or even at the router that their internet connection is coming through, or the cell network that it's coming through. And a lot of people are not technically inclined, and they may not have been given instructions on what to do to set up their environment securely. And let's face it, if cyber criminals find a hole to get into and get sensitive company information, they're going to go in there and they're going to get it. So just a couple of tips. I happen to be using a Mac, and built into the software, there's actually a firewall function, but by default it's turned off. Really simple to go into preferences and turn it on. I'm not sure if it's the same on a PC because I haven't used one for a while, but I assume that there probably is. We're in Australia, both of us, and I'm connected to the NBN. I'm not sure if you are, Liz. Are you?
No, I'm not. Not yet.
Okay. Well, the router, the NBN modem from my provider actually has firewall protection that I've configured on there. So, and I've got good antivirus and all the things you would expect someone who's in the cybersecurity space would have. Yeah. But I'm not a typical remote worker. I also happen to have a fully fitted out home office with a proper desk, a 34-inch monitor, a huge, ergonomic chair, everything that I need to actually work from home. but for me, being home all the time is kind of weird because I'm a keynote speaker and I'm used to traveling all over the world and all over the country. So being stuck here is not a whole lot of fun, and I definitely miss the social interaction.
Yeah, it's a big impact, but I also think that people have realized that it is possible to work more from home, and I think we'll see more and more offices and more organizations adapting to more flexible hours and more, I suppose, part-time in the office and then more working from home. But it is whether we have the logistics or the structure at our home office, and there's a designated area in our homes that have work computers, offices and so forth, that we can comfortably work from home.
Well, and it's something that we may be grappling with for a long time. I think now that companies have seen that people can be trusted to work from home, that which was hard to do before is now going to become a regular part of life for people who work for companies, because we have to right now with the pandemic. And I sincerely hope that the pandemic does not come in waves, but a lot of medical experts are predicting that it will. And if that's the case, Liz, then we're going to need to be prepared to maybe go back from the office, back into the home and work from home for a while, and then maybe venture out again and go back and forth. And ultimately, my view, and this is just a personal view, is that if a company is expecting an employee to work from home on a sustained basis, then they have an obligation to make sure that the environment is secure, that it has the right ergonomics, that they've got a big screen, that they've got a dedicated computer that's not the family computer, which, you know, the kids might use as well.
And that's another cybersecurity issue as well. Yep.
You know, so there are a lot of things that we have to think about. And also, you know, even just having a proper desk set out and a big screen to look at, because quite frankly, when someone is working from a 13-inch laptop, they are not as productive as they would be working on a big 30-inch monitor. It just doesn't happen. And companies need to be prepared for the fact that if someone's working in a crimped environment, I'll just use the word crimped, that they're not going to be as productive as if they were in an office. And also, if they're at home, they may have other distractions like other family members that could interrupt things, or pets.
Yeah, or homeschooling.
Yes, exactly.
What a lot of people had to cope with. Yep.
So there are a lot of things that we need to consider in terms of remote working. But if anything, the silver lining of COVID-19 is that it has shown companies that employees can be trusted to work from home and that we can do it.
Yeah, and we just need to work on the logistics for the future, really.
Yes, and to make it a good, safe environment for all concerned.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining me this week, Shara, and I look forward to next week's chat.
Bye for now, Liz. Thanks, everybody.